Hi, it's Leslie from Leslie's Cookies and Treats, and today I'm making gingerbread girl cookies. I hope that you all had a nice Thanksgiving, but now let's start getting ready for Christmas. So I'm using a number 1.5 tip and a detail consistency icing, and I'm giving my gingerbread girl a little bit of hair, and now I'm going to outline and flood in her face. My brown icing is about a 15-second consistency. Then I'm going to outline and flood in the hands and the feet. And if you're enjoying this and you want to learn more and you want to learn all about icing consistencies, how to handle craters, and all of the details about how you can decorate cookies for any occasion, I recently started offering full-length classes, and you can find a link to that in the description. So now I'm going to use my scribe, or you can also use a toothpick, to shape the icing and get it into the edges and the corners and pop any air bubbles. Now let's give our gingerbread girl a little bit of a neck and set the cookie aside to dry for a while. So my cookie's been drying for about 20-30 minutes, and now I'm going to add a triangle for the bow, and I'm going to let that dry before I add the other side. So I'm going to go down and go ahead and pipe in her dress. My icing again is about a 15-second consistency. And again, I'm going to use a scribe or a toothpick to get the icing out to the corners and pop any air bubbles. I use a 15-second icing consistency for almost everything. So now that the bow has had a chance to dry, I'm going to go ahead and add the triangle on the other side. And let that dry for about 5 to 10 minutes before adding the dot in the center of the bow. And then I'm going to let the cookie dry for several hours before I come back with my 1.5 tip, and I'm going to make a little ruffle around the neck. So I'm going to pipe a squiggly line and then take a paintbrush where I've wiped almost all of the water off on a paper towel, and I'm going to drag some of that white icing into the center neck area and give it a lacy kind of look. And I'm going to repeat the same process at the bottom of her dress with a little ruffle. So again, using a 1.5 tip, I'm going to make a wavy line, and then I'm going to take a mostly dry paintbrush and drag some of that icing up into the dress, again creating little lines with my paintbrush so it looks kind of like a lace. You want your paintbrush to be a little bit damp so it doesn't stick to the icing. Then let's give our gingerbread girl some buttons, and I'm taking cornstarch and dipping a palette knife into it and flattening out the buttons. And then I'm going to dip my scribe in cornstarch and put a couple of holes for the buttonholes. And I'm using a detail consistency icing to do this. And now I'm going to put a line at the top of the ruffles, on the bottom, and on the neck of the dress. I didn't quite get my line where I want it, so I'm going to take a very slightly damp paintbrush and move the line where I need it. And now I'm going to bring this cookie to life with some paint. I'm using some food grade glycerine and some black food gel, and I'm mixing that together a little bit to add some shading and some definition to the bow. I'm using a detail paintbrush to outline the areas, and then I'm going to take my flat brush and use it to spread some of the color out into the bow, giving it some shading and feathering the color out. I like working with the glycerin because it allows me longer workable time with the paint, and it will give me time to erase and to move the color around how I want it. If you want to learn more about how I do this, I do offer some more in-depth tutorials on this in my classes. Again, the link for that is in the description. So I'm just adding some shading where I want it and some outline to bring definition to the bow, and then I'm going to go in with some white edible paint, and I'm going to add some highlights. I'm not going to mix the white with the food grade glycerin because I don't want to feather it out, I just want to add a highlight. And then I'm going to add the wavy lines on the feet and the hands and then the face. Going back to the black gel color, I'm going to add some eyes, and I'm going to try to make them both the same size. I think that's always the hardest part. And then with my red food color and a 15-second consistency, I'll add a nose, and then I'll paint in a mouth. I decided to add some shading to the sides of the dress, and then again right above the bottom ruffle, and so I'm taking the black food color mixed with the glycerin, and I'm going to paint it on the side of the dress with the small detail marker and then feather it out with a mostly dry flat brush. And if I get too much color or I don't like how it looks, I can take the brush and kind of wipe some of it off because it's still wet with the food grade glycerin. And then using the powdered luster dust, I'm going to add a little pink for the cheeks, and this gingerbread girl will be done. I'll leave a link for all the supplies in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this tutorial, please like and subscribe. I have more tutorials every week. Bye!